Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 8th of December, and we have to talk about Bitcoin. There is so much double speak, crazy speak, upside down speak. Nobody seems to know what's going on with Bitcoin. I am hearing all kinds of stuff. I'm talking to people in my store about it, and they think that it's a bubble, it's all speculative, it's going to crash, it's not going to work. Okay, so the thing that people are not getting is that at this present time, Bitcoin can be everything. It can be speculative, it can be a bubble at times, and it can also be the reserve currency of the world. And this is a process of stages that it will go through as it reaches reserve status. And I'm going to explain to you why. So let's take a little look at some gold charts, and we'll go from there. Okay, to explain, let's go back a little bit in time. So here is the gold price history from 30 BC to today. Okay, so 1929, an ounce of gold was $20.63. 1934, important year. This is the Expansion Gold Reserve Act. Gold was $34.69 an ounce, and this was basically where they were using gold now as a peg for the dollar. So we can go from 1934 right away, see, look, it's $34, 34, 34, 35, 35, 34, right the way up to 1972. 71, it's 43, 48. So if you go from 1934 to 1971, which is approximately 35, 36 years, gold really hasn't varied in price by more than 10 or 15% either way. And then all of a sudden, in 1972, it jumps to 63, then 106, 183, 139, 133, 160, 207, 455, 594, 410, 444, 389, 1983. This is in 1972. Okay, we came off the gold standard. And when that happened, there was no control on the printing of money, the creation of money. That's what gold was there. Because it was really a fixed value commodity, didn't vary very much at all. When you peg your dollar to that, it limits the amount of dollars you can create, which means in turn, it limits the amount of loans that you can make. Because that's what money is in banks, is a creation. I mean, it's actually staggering when you think about it, that the banks can take $1 and create $9 more out of that and lend those dollars out at interest. If you and I were to do that, it's called counterfeiting. Okay, so when the limits came off, when the gold standard came off, and there was no restraint, it went insane. You can just see, and now we're at $1,300 an ounce, give or take, and this is why you need a currency. This is what keeps you honest, when you have a currency pegged to a commodity here. Okay, so let's go back to Bitcoin. This is what is happening with Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, people, how can I explain this? Let me think about this for a second. We realize, I think the financial institutions of the world have realized that we are so insanely in debt, and the exponential growth of interest is just, I mean, the longer you leave this, the worse it gets. Okay, and they know they're in trouble, and I think the people who understand money know that this system is really in a lot of trouble. Because I think at the end of the day, what the name of the game is here is that, this sounds crazy, but you inflate your way out of trouble. Okay, so you start with a loan, a debt, to create money, and that creates a hyperbolic growth of stimulation in your economy, and the interest grows exponentially, and there is a crossover point, and that's a stall point. Okay, so basically your entire economic system is based on inflating your currency to the point of failure and then creating something new. Well, this is something new that's been created, but now what Bitcoin really does, okay, is it brings the whole concept of money as a unit of exchange rather than a unit of, or a way to make money and speculate. Okay, it is this idea that we can inflate our currency that causes all the problems. Okay, and you can't inflate Bitcoin. That's why it's called precious numbers. There's 21 million in there. You cannot exceed that number. Okay, so you cannot inflate the currency. And if you don't inflate the currency, really the only kind of inflation we're going to experience in real terms on the ground here is the kind of inflation, the other kind of inflation, which is caused by shortages. You know, there's just not enough goods to go around, so it drives the price up through demand. But the other kind of inflation, which is caused by the creation of money, again, which in our terms, in real terms on the street, is called counterfeiting, is the whole problem. And Bitcoin eliminates this. This is why it is such a wonderful, wonderful boon for everybody. This is a way to zero the debts. And you know, with a debt jubilee, I've had many discussions with people, and one of the things they say is, well, God damn it, I paid my debts and I saved my money, and why should I forgive those guys who got themselves into trouble and just didn't think about it at all, and it's just not fair. Well, the bonus that you get, that everyone gets as a sidebar, is you go back to a full value dollar. When you cancel inflation, when you have a debt jubilee and you cancel all that debt and you go back to zero, you cancel all the inflation too, and that's why they had a debt jubilee. Okay, so you had a full dollar, so all of a sudden your dollar is worth way, way more in the terms of buying power. Okay, so this is where we're going, folks. And of course, nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I mean, it could be the FBI, the CIA, Mossad, who knows? I mean, somebody came up with this brilliant idea for Bitcoin. Okay, and I think that's why I think this is going to replace, because we need a gold standard of some kind, and gold is just not going to work anymore. You can't walk into a store with a pocket full of sovereigns and transact. It's so clunky. So we're on the computer, we're on the internet, and this is now precious numbers. Not precious metal, precious numbers. And so what's happening is the smart money, I'm sure governments, I'm sure the CIA, FBI, Mossad are heavily invested in Bitcoin. They will have seen the potential of this, of taking over, of being the neutral arbiter of currency exchange that doesn't allow anyone to take advantage of it. So what's happening is, what you're seeing right now is that all of the debt in the world is being transferred into Bitcoin, just as all of the debt in the world was piled onto gold at one time. That's gold stopped it from expanding any further than there was gold in your vault. It was a limiting factor. Okay, and we've got the same thing going on now, because we came off the gold standard, the limiting factor is gone. We're just about to reach that Minsky moment. Okay, go read about Minsky. He was an economist, Russian economist, had an incredible theory about this intersect point, why it happens, how it happens, and of course, you know, I mean, I'm going to say this because if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, if you're going to look at this stuff, you better know your economics. You better know what this is founded on and why it's working and what it is. So it's looking like a speculative bubble, but it is not a speculative bubble. It is because Bitcoin has to rise to the value in equal amount to the debt and the amount of dollars in the world today. whatever that number is. I'm hearing 1.8 quadrillion. So you divide 1.8 quadrillion by 21 million Bitcoin, and you will get an idea of where Bitcoin has to settle to become gold, where it didn't vary in price more than 20% either side. For years, for 35 years, we had a stable economy. And as soon as we came off that gold standard, it went crazy. And I think there is a yearning for that, because at the end of the day, the one thing we all need is an honest place where we can do business. Nobody wants to walk into a deal, shake hands and lose 3 fingers on the deal. Okay? That's human nature for you. And so people are naturally drawn to this. Now people tell me, they ask me, oh, well, it's an electronic currency and blah, 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 and you don't know what's going on, and is it safe, and is it going to collapse? My thinking on this is, firstly, when you use your debit card, do you really know what's going on when you swipe that card through that reader? It's just a bunch of ones and zeros going down a wire, and you are hoping like hell that it's going in the right direction and going to debit the right account. And of course 99.9% of the time that's exactly what happens. Okay, so this is no different. There's nothing more scary about Bitcoin than about using your debit card. Okay, the other thing is, I believe we have one of 2 possible outcomes in this world today. Either we have a revolution, a nuclear war, a Carrington event, in any event, whatever it is, I'm talking about a major catastrophe. You will not be worrying about Bitcoin. Okay, that will be the last thing on your mind, is how you're going to cash in your Bitcoin, okay? And if none of that happens, which I suspect is what is going to happen, we're going to bump along until we come up with a better way of doing business. You can see this, how many people, corrupt people, are now being outed in the media, including the media. So we are going to bump along the bottom until we cough up this bone. And I suspect, because the internet now has become so integrated in our society, you're going to find people who will do anything to maintain this connection. They will go to any lengths to maintain the hydro it requires to drive it, and the process and the servers and everything else that goes to keep the internet together. That I truly believe it'll be the last thing we lose, because it really has become ubiquitous. It's saturated our society so much. I mean, it's speaking for myself and speaking from the people that I talk to every day. This has become so integrated, I cannot imagine not waking up and turning on my computer and checking out YouTube and listening to a couple of videos whilst I'm getting ready for work. I can't imagine it. I don't watch any TV anymore, not interested. And I have ad blocker, by the way. This is a very good little download on Mozilla. It's an add-on, and boy oh boy, I don't see any ads. I don't see any ads on YouTube. I don't see any ads on any other place except Facebook. Facebook, they still filter through. They have a different way of doing that. But so I would encourage you to use ad blocker if you're sick and tired of pop-ups and seeing ads all over your video. And I say that as somebody who monetizes his videos. If you want to go ahead, I appreciate the revenue that I get. It's not a lot. I think I'm probably bringing in about $100 a month right now, so it's certainly nothing to write home about. But definitely get ad blocker. I don't like ads on my YouTube videos when I'm watching. So anyways, I'm straying here, I'm rambling. It tends to happen. That's the way my mind works. But yeah, we're not going to lose the internet. And as long as we have the internet, you're going to have Bitcoin or some form of cryptocurrency, because you could just see that's where we're turning to. And we're demanding integrity. We're demanding honesty from our banking institutions, and our banking institutions are demanding honesty from the public. Okay, and Bitcoin is that neutral, independent arbiter that insists that both sides be honest, or it will not work. It will not work. It just stops. I don't actually know what happens when it's been corrupted somehow, but I know that it just stops. It stops working until it's been fixed. And so you have this kind of built-in safeguard that it stops at the moment it was corrupted, so you know where it was corrupted and who corrupted it. So this is a big exposure for anybody who might want to corrupt Bitcoin. And I understand that to corrupt Bitcoin, you actually have to infect at least 50% of the computers that are involved in supporting the network, one of which is mine, of course. Okay, so you have to infect more than 50% to be able to somehow upset this algorithm that's been written, that is the underlying architecture of Bitcoin. So I'm not worried. When BP and Shell are using this as a foundation for futures trading, I think you could be pretty certain that the underlying architecture is absolutely 100% sound. But I will warn you, you have to go direct. You have to go to someone like Coinbase. You have to go to a Bitcoin terminal, buy the Bitcoin yourself, get yourself a wallet on your hard drive, and to make sure that you're absolutely secure that you don't lose your Bitcoin. Just as you wouldn't leave your wallet on the sidewalk and expect to come back tomorrow and find it. So you can expect a wild ride with Bitcoin. It's going to go up and down. You can certainly see by the way it's behaving, it has a little peak and then it retrenches. And a little peak and it retrenches, and it's doing the same thing here. It's got a peak. I think we actually, yes, we hit 17,346. Now it's dipped down and it's retrenching. So it's finding its level, okay, and that's the important thing. And this tells you that this is a solid move. This is not speculative. This is not a speculative curve. If it was, it would just go straight up. Okay, it would just go straight up to the top and straight back down again. And this is what tends to happen with penny stocks. Go take a look at them and check them out. You'll see that what I'm saying is absolutely correct. So you can expect this up and down, but it is going to continue up until we have reached equilibrium with $1.8 quadrillion that are out there floating around that need to be reconciled. And that's all we can do, folks. The Fed is out of bullets. The Bank of International Settlements is out of bullets. We have handed our monetary policy over to a whole bunch of young eggheads that have come out of university that have great educations but no experience. And of course, when you have all of that, you tend to repeat history, and that's what's happening right now, and that's why we're shifting into Bitcoin. Now, of course, I just want to point out here, this is a big story. Litecoin 128, Ethereum 462. So I'm hoping, like me, you put a few of your profits from Bitcoin into Ethereum and Litecoin. And I also bought a little EOS and Oh My Go, which is a bit of speculation. They're supposed to go up over Christmas and into springtime. So we'll see how this goes. Well, you take care, you have a great evening, and we'll talk soon. This is Hound Dog Steve, signing off. See ya.